All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of We Made the Change. Actually, this episode is going to be I Made the Change. My co-host, she had a little family situation to take care of, so she was out today. But your boy's gonna hold it down. Shout out! I know y'all see the jersey. Shout out to Washington Commanders for all those Cowboy fans that don't like me. It's whatever. We coming back next year with a vengeance. Episode, we made the change. Like always, we come on here and we try to give game, try to give information, great information on what necessary steps it could possibly take for you to make a change in your life. I think that's valuable. I think that is so important, especially if you're trying to achieve a level of success. Today's topic is the power of picking the right partner when you're trying to be an entrepreneur. Let me say that again. The power of picking the right partner when you're trying to be an entrepreneur. Now, before I even go into this topic, when I say picking, and I'm just speaking from personal experience, I didn't necessarily know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur until I got in my mid-20s. I met my wife when I was 30, I think, 29, something like that. We've been married now for 10 years, been together for like 13 years, 14 years, something like that. Really telling my age. But by the time I met her, I had already had the mindset of I wanted to be an entrepreneur, even though I was in the working environment. I was in the oil field at the time. But I knew even at that point that I wanted to be my own business owner. I wanted to be a boss of my own company. I wanted to set the standards. I wanted to make the rules. But I just didn't know what it was I was going to do. And I think a lot of us run into those walls to where you got this desire to be successful and you just don't know what direction to go into. So it's hard because you're wrestling with your own thoughts on a day-to-day basis. So trust me, I've been there, done that. My best advice to you in that aspect is keep pushing. Keep knocking at the door. I remember I used to want to be a Subway owner. I want to own my own franchise in Subway. And I got this idea because I remember watching the movie The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock. And a small clip of her husband and the family riding through the city at night. And her husband said that I think one of the kids wanted something to eat or something. Anyway, come to find out he was a franchise owner for Taco Bell's. And all I thought about was, dang, like, this dude is living a life. Because if you remember the movie, they took in the responsibility of the football player and they pretty much adopted him. But in that process of adopting him, they already had a spare bedroom for him. They had a nice size house for him to feel comfortable in. It was just so much that they could offer, and they had the freedom and time to offer it. So even then, and this movie came out years ago, probably 15 plus years ago, I saw myself being an owner to where I had that type of freedom. I wanted to be able to walk around, be involved in my kids' life. I wanted to be able to spend time with my spouse when I wanted to. I wanted to be able to go spend money and not have to check my account every time I spent money. Like, I envisioned that lifestyle. Didn't necessarily know how I was going to get there, but I knew this is what I want for myself, and I got to figure out how to get it. So moving forward, I just wrestled with so many thoughts of entrepreneurship ideas that I wanted, and I thought about being able to be a part of, but not necessarily knowing what I was going to do. But in the process of me wanting all these things, I was learning. I was learning myself. I was learning the necessary steps it take to possibly be successful at anything, honestly, you know. But even in that process, and this is before I met my wife, I had a mindset of, if I'm going to be with somebody, it has to be with somebody. My biggest, and my wife can tell you this to this day, I still tell her, you know, and it's crazy that this is the name of the podcast, but I told my wife, one of the biggest reasons why I was open to marriage was because I saw that my wife was willing to change. It's hard being in a relationship with someone who in their 20s, they're the same person. In their 30s, they're the same person. In their 40s, they're the same person. Like, I could not envision myself being in a relationship with somebody because I knew deep inside I was going to have to make some major changes to accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish in life. So in order for me to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in the process of changing, I knew I had to be with somebody who was going to be willing to change. That, like, when I say that was like, you know, when people say that was the red flag, that was the red flag. Like, I purposely, I'm telling on myself, but I purposely put my wife and my girlfriend at the time through things that I felt like would give me a glimpse of if she's going to be willing to change. Because if she's pushed back and she like, no, this ain't who I am. I remember one time, so me and my wife, we did a long distance relationship for a long time. I stayed in Oklahoma. She stayed in Chicago. And I would fly back and forth to Chicago and Oklahoma like every month, literally for like 3 years. And this particular time, I was in the oil field, and I don't know what happened. I think I was mismanaging my money. I'm going to be honest. I was mismanaging my money. I was terrible with money management at this time in my life. Nobody taught me financial literacy, so I was struggling bad, y'all. And I made decent money. But I called my wife, girlfriend at this time, and every time we would go, I would come back and forth to Chicago from Oklahoma. We would go out to eat. We'd spend all this money out at restaurants, you know, wine and dining. I'm still impressing her mood, and we ain't seen each other in a month, so I'm really pouring it on. You know, I'm paying for restaurants over here. You know how it go. Those are considered dates. So I'm really spending a lot of money. Well, this particular trip, I did something to mess my money up, first of all. I did something to mess my money up, and I didn't have a lot of money. But I had always paid in advance for the plane tickets. So I knew I was going to Chicago this particular trip, but I knew my pockets was not looking good. And I told myself on the way, I said, I'm going to challenge her to see if she's the type of woman that if I ain't got the money to pay for the dinners that I'm accustomed to paying for when I make it to Chicago, how is she going to react to that? And what is her next move? And I need to see, you know, who she is when I might not have it. I might messed up. I might have made a mistake. So I call, I tell her, hey, I'm coming in tomorrow, but I'm going to be honest with you. We ain't going to be able to go out and eat nothing like that. So you might want to load up and get, because when my wife was in Chicago, her refrigerator stayed empty. Like, she had the bare minimum to survive off of and eat what she wanted to eat. Other than that, that refrigerator was a ghost town. But I said, you know, I don't know if I explained to her what I did with my money. I probably didn't explain to her because I didn't want her all up in my business. But I call her, I tell her this, and make it to Chicago the next day. Tell her, you know what I'm saying, money short. We not going out to eat. I'm telling you that now. So when I got to her apartment that next day, the moment I came into the kitchen, my wife had like 3 or 4 bags of groceries. 3 or 4 bags of groceries. She was ready to go in there, cook. She cooked every night I was there, every morning, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I didn't spend no money on out to eat. Of course, at this time, it wasn't no DoorDash and Uber Eats and all that. But that right there in my mind was like, oh, wow. Like, this is what I needed. I needed someone who has the ability to be able to maneuver in that lane to where I don't feel like I'm not able to be with her unless I got this type of money, or unless I can, spend this and do this. So it was a great situation for me. I'm gonna tell you that. It was a great situation, and it was something that I needed to know from her moving forward. But back to the topic at hand. Like I said, I was looking for someone who was willing to make changes because I knew me, and I knew along this journey of trying to be successful, I knew I was going to have to be making some changes. So picking the partner on this road to being an entrepreneur. So now I'm thinking, we talking about fast forward when I'm really in this whole entrepreneur mindset. And, when you're with someone who really don't understand entrepreneurship and they're accustomed to the regular 9 to 5, especially if they make good money at their 9 to 5, it's hard to convince them that your logic and your way of thinking, because now as an entrepreneur, I'm a risk taker. I'm willing to risk it all. I'm willing to roll the dice. I'm willing to go all in because I'm going to these conferences. I'm going to these meetings with all these entrepreneurs, and they're pumping me up, making me feel good, making me think I can do anything I want to. It's like going to church on Sunday, listening to the pastor, but your wife or your husband is at home, and you getting filled with this Holy Spirit, and you come home and they looking at you going, you can keep all that at church because I ain't heard nothing that pastor said, so I don't feel the same way you feel. That's exactly how you feel as an entrepreneur when you're with the wrong person. Now, when you are in this role, it can be emotional because you're sometimes going to feel like you don't have the support that you need. But you also have to be patient when you're with another person and you're trying to become an entrepreneur and they're not on that path, because they just don't understand your way of thinking. And it's okay, because in the beginning, when I converted over to my wife has a career. She's in a field where it's like she didn't have a job. She had a career. So it's like, or she has a career. She has a career. So she's looking at me going, yeah, you jumping from this idea to this idea. This week you want to do this. Next week you want to do that. And for most entrepreneurs, they're just trying to figure it out. So they're trying to go through the motions of, I need to do this. I need to grab this. I want to grab this. Oh, somebody came and told me about this. Oh, somebody gave me this idea, so I might want to do this. So that's a constant thing that you're constantly going to deal with. And when you don't feel supported at home, it kind of makes you feel like defeated to a certain degree. So luckily, my wife was the type, even if she thought it, she never said it, but she never discouraged me to say, no, you need to go get a job and work the job and stay on the job and quit worrying about trying to do your own thing. Like, she never came at me like that. So I was very appreciative of that, because I know some people can get in relationships and the spouse or the partner not understand that you're going through the motions, and they just sit back and watch you, but they also are very critical of every step you take. And that's hard. That's hard because you're looking at everything going, am I making the right decision? Like, should I just go get a job and work and be comfortable and be happy because it makes my spouse happy? Or should I continue to chase my dreams? uh, I think being in the right relationship will give you that confirmation from your partner or spouse to continue to chase your dreams. Because I always told myself I'm only gonna get one chance at this thing called life that I know of. So within this one chance of life that I know of, I want to live it to the fullest. I remember always listening to Les Brown, and he would always say, you know, the richest place in the world is the graveyard because so many people go to their grave with all their hopes and dreams and never get to fulfill them. And I used to always tell myself, like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to. I want to try and do everything I can while I'm on this earth to try to achieve my goals and my dreams. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do that, unless it's interfering with my religion, my beliefs, or my morals. But other than that, if it's work hard, make sacrifices, make changes, I'm willing to do it. So I got to be with somebody who also might not necessarily feel the same way about, they want to chase their dreams in the same pattern that I'm chasing mine. Because for my wife, she was living her dream. She had fulfilled her degree. She had got into her field of work. So she was living her dream. Now I'm chasing my dreams, but I don't necessarily know directly what I want to do. But I know I want to do something great, but I don't know exactly what I want to do. And I think that's a challenge that most people struggle with because, especially nowadays with social media, you see everybody living their best life on social media. Nobody's struggling. Nobody going through hard times. Everybody's living their best life. So you like, why am I looking at these reels and why am I looking at these videos and I'm not living my best life? First of all, it's all what they want you to see. And you got to understand that it's entertainment to a certain degree. And you can also live out your best life or live out your dreams, but you got to be willing to make the sacrifice to do it. So finding that partner who aligns with your vision, that's just a whole different step, because now so let's fast forward. I figure out what I want to do. I know I got great leadership skills because I've studied leadership for a while now. And even before I studied leadership, I was always thinking I was somebody's daddy and tell them what to do. Ask my sister, she'll tell you. But I always had this mindset of, and I'm a Virgo. Shout out to all my Virgos. I'm a Virgos. We like, when God goes on vacation, Virgos, he called Virgos in to take over the world. But anyway, I always had this mentality of leadership. I want to be able to lead, but I want to lead people in a sense of, I want to be the type of leader that prides myself on leading people the way I would want to be led. So when I figured out that that's what I wanted to do, I had to make sure that my wife was also on board. So when I decided that I was going to be a full-time entrepreneur, I was going to go out here and chase my dreams, we had a conversation. And I think I told her straight up, like, I'm not going to be the corporate. I'm not going to be the workhorse. I'm not going to forever be in the working environment to that capacity. I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to learn what I need to learn, and I'm going to build my own. And that's exactly what I did. Was it easy? Not even close. But is it worth it? Absolutely. If I had the chance to do it over again, I would 10 times. But it's challenging as an entrepreneur when you're in this relationship with your spouse or your partner and they not necessarily listening to the words of affirmation that you listening to every day. You wake up one morning and they go to work and they're dealing with work environment stuff, but you're in the environment of pumping up, motivating, inspiring, and you ain't got a dollar to your name, but you feel so good, and they looking at you, God, yeah, you doing all this hoorah, but your bank account it ain't giving off the same energy, bro. So what are we talking about? So they don't necessarily get it in the beginning because they're not fighting the same fight that you're fighting. I think a good indication that you could possibly be with the wrong person, and I hope I ain't out here ruining relationships or nothing like that. But if you with the wrong person, you just with the wrong person. It is what it is. Talk to God about that. But uh, if they're not motivating you the best way that they can, saying, I might not understand your journey, but I'm gonna support you 100%. That's no different than, dealing with your kids. Sometimes your kids ain't gonna always make the right decision, but as a parent, you're gonna support your kids no matter what. So from a spouse perspective or a partner perspective, you feel great when you have that support. And it might not be the support that person might give you when you up as much as when you down, but you got to know your person. You got to know your person. You got to know if your person is truly going to be supportive of your decision, or you got to know if they're supportive, but they just don't understand it. And that's okay, because everybody's not going to understand your journey. 90% of people are not going to understand your journey. And most people won't support outside your household until you actually hit the level of success that you are achieving to hit, which is also the nature of the beast. That's just how it goes. But you got to be able to identify this person that you're with and say, let's be honest. Let me be honest with myself and ask myself, is this person really, really here for me? Or is this person really not supportive? They just, because I'm not where I want to be, they are disrespectful. They, don't allow me to feel like myself. That's the thing about my wife that I can definitely appreciate, even through my journey of ups and downs, depression, not knowing what was gonna happen. She always allowed me to be myself. That right there made me feel like when I get that level of support that she gave me, even though she didn't understand, it's what I needed. And I think when you're trying to be an entrepreneur or you're trying to achieve a level of success, and it's two different worlds coming together, you're gonna always need that. So some of the notes I was taking when I was thinking about this was advice that you got to be careful with the advice that you take from people who are not entrepreneurs when it comes to how you dictate your relationship. Because if you're getting advice from a person who is a person that is totally against entrepreneurship and ain't trying to build their own business and things of that nature, chances are they can't necessarily give you the best advice of how to deal with your spouse or your partner, because they're going to look at it from only one angle, and that's the angle that they know. So it's no different than a married couple taking advice from a single person. I think as an entrepreneur, if you are going through your journey, especially when it's on the beginning stages, like when you just not getting your foot in the door, or you just going through your first couple of struggles. Notice I said first couple of struggles, because this road to success is going to come with a lot of struggles. So you going through your first couple of struggles and things of that nature, and it's hard to get advice from somebody who ain't been through them same struggles. That makes sense. I think we all can agree to that. That's like telling me how to manage $1,000,000 when you ain't ever managed $100,000. Like, it's hard for me to. I'm not saying you don't know anything, but in this situation, I would rather get advice from somebody who've already went down this path. So when you go out there seeking advice from people, make sure that they somewhat know a part of that journey because it's going to be hard for them to give you advice on your relationship if they not necessarily and it could be the wrong advice in the sense of they might be thinking like your spouse is thinking or your partner is thinking. So they've convinced you that what they're saying is true, and it could eliminate you even thinking about being an entrepreneur anymore. So be careful who you getting this advice from. If you want to get the advice, don't call me. Get on We Made the Change on YouTube and and listen to all the videos, and I guarantee you'll get all the advice and the insight that you need to go out there and achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. And if I ain't got it on there, hit me up and we'll figure it out together. But that's definitely one of the things that I think are important when it comes to the spouse and the partner that you are aligned with when you're trying to be an entrepreneur. I can't speak from the other side of the spectrum because I've always had this desire to be my own boss. So like I can't speak from my wife's perspective of being on the other side, but I can tell you now. So now that I've achieved success as an entrepreneur and I'm continuing to grow more and more and more, it's funny because now my wife is in a position where she don't have to work as much. She chooses to work, but she definitely don't have to work as much as she did when I was on my journey. And when I was on my journey, she had to be the head of the household. That's a whole different conversation right there. Shout out to all the women who hold in that king that has a dream and a desire to be successful, but just need your support. And you ain't letting your homegirls talk you out of holding him down, because sometimes that goes a long way. But anyway, it reminds me of that Taraji P. Henson movie where I forgot the name of the movie. Dang, somebody put in the comments what's the name of that movie, where she was holding old boy down for so long, and he was trying to get this technology thing off the ground, his patent, and he was trying to sell it and all this. And when she left and divorced him, then he hit big and became this multimillionaire and all this. You know how the story go. But he did some things I wouldn't do. Like he wasn't even trying to work. He was just focused on that one thing. I don't agree with that. I feel like if you're trying to chase your dream and your goal, you got to be doing something else too. You got to be trying to bring something to the table. Don't just leave your woman or your man out to just drown by themselves. Lucky my wife wasn't drowning, but I still was in the mindset of I got to be bringing something to the table. If it ain't nothing but a cup holder, a coaster, is that what it is? A coaster. I got to be bringing something to the table. But dang, I lost my train of vision talking about that movie. Dang, you gotta be able to find somebody that's going to support your dreams. And then once you achieve your level of success that you're aiming for, trust me, my wife will tell you right now, she loves her new position. She loves her new position so much. She loves her new position so much that now she is going into the whole entrepreneurship role. Like she's getting into, being her own boss and rolling up her sleeves and doing the leg work to go out there and build something outside of her career, which I love to see. I love to see her really grinding, because I feel like if you can achieve a level of success in the 9-to-5 corporate America world, once you build those certain qualities about yourself and you convert over to trying to be an entrepreneur, those actually makes some of the best entrepreneurs, like hands down. I know a lot of people who are now entrepreneurs and very successful, and they come from the corporate background because they've been through the trenches of, the ups and downs that come with trying to obtain a level of success in a corporate America. And I ain't never even stepped foot in corporate America. And I've been a working man since day one, with my hands, with my body, with my back. It wasn't until I learned how to use my brain to win. That's when I converted over to doing something different. So, shout out to my wife, Bree. Love you. Excited about her role in becoming a successful entrepreneur. I need her to be more successful for me. I need her to retire me again. Like, I need her to retire me. But I think the power of having the right partner as an entrepreneur is something that don't get talked about a lot. And I don't think in the process of going through your journey, especially from a man perspective, because our ego and our pride kind of lies on our success to a certain degree. And I'm not even talking about financial. Like we as men, we feel better when we feel like we're achieving things and we're taking care of our family and we're doing the necessary things that it takes to feel that level of pride as a man. So, you know, I was in the oil field for like 8 to 10 years, and I felt good knowing that I was going to work every day, bust my butt, providing household income to take care of my family. But when I got laid off from the oil field and I wasn't working and I was trying to figure out what my next step was, and it took a while, like it affected me in a major way. It affected my pride. It affected my ego. So I ain't gonna get all into that. But for men, you know, and I can only speak from a man's perspective, we feel so much comfortable when we're in a position to be able to help our spouse or take care of our spouse. So when you can get in a relationship with somebody who achieve a level of entrepreneurship to where they're now in a position to take care of those certain needs, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. And I don't want people to make those leaps and bounds and be with the wrong person. You don't want to make them leaps and bounds and be with the wrong person, because now that you have achieved, like, I would feel like, honestly, I would feel like a failure if I would achieve the level of success I've achieved up until this point and be with the wrong person. Because I think that goes hand in hand. I think you got to work just as hard on your relationship and the person that you're going to be with as you are to building your empire. And sometimes that can get lost in translation, because I know for me, when you're trying to become this successful entrepreneur, you got tunnel vision. You're focused. You know, you ruling in on, I need to get here. I need to get here. So with them blockers on, sometimes you can neglect the people that are in your household and that are loving and supporting you through this process. So you got to be willing to have conversations, communication, of course. Now I feel like I'm giving a marriage conference. That's not what I'm here for. But you got to be able to have communication with your spouse and let them know what you're going through. And I know sometimes, especially for men, when you're not filled and you're not fulfilled, you don't feel like talking about it all the time. So I can tell you what I did was I would listen to a lot of my mentors, because my mentors kind of helped me get through all the obstacles. And a lot of mentors that I have, they don't even know they're my mentors. I've never met these guys. I never had a conversation with the guys. I just listened to their journey, their testimony, and what they went through to get to wherever they are right now as far as success. And that would fill me. It's no different than going to church on Sunday. You know, sometimes I done been to the Potter's house. Shout out to T.D. Jakes, and I ain't never met T.D. Jakes, but I can tell you right now, he's played and made a major impact on my life from a biblical standpoint on how I approach things as far as my relationship with God and success. So I feel like every man, especially if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you really better get that relationship with God right. But every man should have a relationship with a mentor that has a strong faith and that is really pushing you as an individual to be the best version of yourself. And I think you need to try to achieve those goals daily. Literally, you need to be trying to achieve those goals daily because it's hard. It's hard, and you'll fall off that train, and you're trying to get back on. You'll fall off. You're trying to get back on. I ain't gonna tell y'all how many times my wife can tell you. I fell off that train a lot of times, but the only difference was I always got up and got back on, no matter what, no matter how hard it got, no matter how depressed I was, no matter how I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. I just kept going. So, of course, when you're talking about pertaining to our podcast, We Made the Change, it's a reflection of not giving up and always being willing to continue to make the change. I think once you can continue to do that, eventually something gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. You're gonna make a transition into a new chapter of your life. You're gonna be grateful for this new chapter of your life, and it's gonna continue to push you to keep being better. Because even now, like, man, my wife tell you, I'm always shooting for the stars. I'm gonna continue to keep going. And when you got the right spouse in front of you, especially once you reach a level, it's like, girl, this is why I married you. like that. Those are the type of conversations you go have because now, you really feeling good about your success. You really feeling good about your journey, and it's easier to communicate your feelings and your emotions when you've overcome some things. So if you're going through it and you ain't quite there, that just means you probably ain't overcome enough. But I promise you, if I can't say this enough, all you got to do is keep going. Don't quit. Continue to make a change within yourself. Don't try to change the people around you. Just continue to make the change within yourself. And you're definitely going to hit it. You're going to hit something. I don't know what your dream is. I don't know what your desires is in life. But if you keep doing that, you're going to hit something. So I'd love to hear from you guys about what do you think about the importance of having a great spouse or partner to help you continue your entrepreneurial journey or just to help you achieve a level of success. Has your relationship played a role in your entrepreneurship journey? You got to ask yourself that. Has this relationship that I'm in helped my entrepreneurship journey or hurt my entrepreneurship journey? And I think once you start answering those questions, you will figure out if you're in a right relationship or not. At the end of the day, success in business is great, but success at home is even greater. So have that vision for yourself. Have that vision of what you want your partner to be able to be related in their relationship with you. And don't be afraid to communicate that. And if your communication skills are not where they want to be, where you want them to be, just keep practicing. Keep practicing every day. Keep learning you every day. Keep focusing on you every day. Keep willing to make the change every day. And I promise you, I can't stress this enough. And I hope a lot of people are taking this in and knowing that they can go out there and achieve these things. You can make it. You can make it to a level of success if you continue to fight for it every single day. So until next time, don't be afraid to make that change. Don't be afraid to overcome new barriers in your life. Don't be afraid to keep pushing. Don't be afraid to subscribe to this channel because it's free and it's easy and you can do it. All you got to do is push a button. And don't be afraid to like it either. And more importantly, continue to grow. Continue to be the best you. And until next time on We Made the Change, I will holler at you guys. Be safe. One love.